EU blindsided by spectacular solar rollout. Large majority of EU countries will hit 2030 solar targets ahead of schedule, according to new data.
Here's a summary of the article.
Brussels. Explosive growth in solar power means most EU countries will hit their 2030 renewable energy targets ahead of time, new data shows, fueling optimism on efforts to bring down global emissions. Solar development has been spectacular, said Javier Esparago, an energy expert at the European Environment Agency, arguing that the fast rollout ultimately all boils down to the costs of solar power per kilowatt-hour plummeting 90% in the past decade. As solar becomes increasingly widespread and electricity prices plummet in the middle of the day when the sun is brightest, some see a risk that the incentive to deploy solar power also decreases, said Esparago. Rapid solar growth has blindsided politicians and analysts, and could mean good news for global climate efforts. In June, the International Energy Agency was forced to upwardly revise its renewable energy deployment forecasts for the EU by 38%, most of which was driven by a rise in residential and commercial solar installations. That's why the Commission's proposed Net Zero Industry Act, which sets new homegrown solar manufacturing targets by 2030, needs to be developed in a balanced manner that also includes greater EU subsidies, he argued. For now, EU countries should focus on ramping up their 2030 solar targets, Rossi said, to encourage greater investment in the sector and wider clean energy system.
This post received a score of 5,300, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Mies, we like this.
I went to a park in Cervia, Italy. They had solar panels in the parking lot, freaking amazing. My main issue with the parking lot at my job is that there is no shade. Adding solar panels would kill two birds with one shot. Every evening when I enter my car it's like 55. See?
The public schools in my city have installed solar in all the parking lots. It has provided much needed shade and shelter from our extreme heat and rain.
I wonder how much longer cars and roofs last with solar panels shielding 90% plus of them too.
This is a known benefit for cars. Many people have garages. The roof is generally not covered completely by panels, and most roofs require the entire roof to be replaced when part fails. This requires the solar panels to be taken down by a qualified technician and reinstalled. There's a ton of potential in agrivoltaics, combining agriculture and solar power together. Solar panels can be installed above irrigation channels to reduce water loss from evaporation due to direct sunlight. Some plants like tomatoes also benefit from the partial shade when planted under, near the panels. The limiting factor is that PV panels aren't being produced fast enough.
Is that a shred of hope I'm feeling? It feels alien. I'm not sure what to do next lol.
During hard times like now, it's important to remember that times have always been now. Groucho Marx.
After seeing the food supply news earlier, this helped me feel better. It is such an ominous and unnerving era we live in. It feels so unstable and on the brink all the time. It's like some sort of enormous event has been on the horizon for a decade, but it just won't get here. More steps for good progress like this, please.
This is an excellent miniseries about climate anxiety from a former professor of mine. I think you will find it helpful if you are feeling the way you are describing.
Thanks, genuinely appreciated.
Absolutely. Pass it on to someone if you like it.
I hope we tackle the true problem of our generation: renewable energy systems, distribution. Having the best train without any railway connection is like not having any train at all.
Glad I'm not the only one thinking about this. The limitation of renewable energy is that they are not consistently predictable. We need advances in material science to address storage and transmission. Without reliable storage, solar is never going to be able to provide base load during peak usage, which is at night during the colder months. The biggest hurdle for transmission isn't technical but bureaucratic. We have the technology to transmit power over vast distances with little loss, but people don't want power lines near their town. Germany has been struggling for years to get a power line approved that would transmit wind energy from up north down to Bavaria, and it's an endless NIMBY hell. Also, storage technologies are well on their way to maturing by the time storage becomes the bottleneck for further renewable expansion.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.